Good morning, students. Today we shall be talking about Greek art in general. At the end of the chapter, we shall be able to understand the various characteristics and contributions of Greek art and architecture to the world. The chapter is essentially a discussion on what are the various contributions of Greek art and architecture. So let us begin. Ancient Greek culture can be rightly called the birthplace of Western civilization about 4,000 years ago. Ancient Greece has many huge accomplishments in areas of government, science, philosophy, and arts that still influence our modern and global lives. Classical Greek philosophy, literature, and political theory had and has a huge and continuing influence on our modern world. The Greek treasury of literature, Homer's epic poems, Iliad and the Odyssey, and poetry of Sappho, the drama of Sophocles and Aristophanes, alongside the philosophical works of Aristotle and Plato, the mathematical treatise of Pythagoras, the medical writings of Galen, and mythology of Hesiod, some of their hallmarks. One of the Greece's most important contribution to Western culture was the democratic system of government, which reached its peak in Athens during the age of Pericles in 5th century BC. The early Rome adopted much of the Greek pantheon and religion, as well as the Greek philosophical tradition. And what Rome did not pass down directly to Middle Ages was rediscovered during the Renaissance period. The decline of Mycenae and other Aegean civilization after 1200 BC was followed by some 400 years of relative obscurity in Greek history. Writing was revived, and the Greek language has remained relatively unchanged to the present day. The Greek alphabet was an adaptation of Phoenician, a Near Eastern Semitic script. The English word alphabet, in fact, combines the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta, equivalent to the Semitic alph and bet, and to the modern English A and B. The exact origin of Hellenes, as Greeks called themselves, are known by about 800 BC. Two related Greek-speaking peoples had settled in Greece, Hellas and Dorians, inhabited the mainland. The Ionians occupied the easternmost strip of mainland, including Athens, the Aegean island, and the west coast of Anatolia, modern Turkey. Later, the Greeks established colonies in southern Italy, Sicily, France, and Spain. It simply means that colonizing Greeks were accompanied sailors and their economy depended on maritime trade to a large extent. They were also successful in cultivating the rocky terrain and in manufacturing pottery and metal objects. After Aegean age, the Greeks began to form independently governed city-states. Each city-state was an autonomous region with a city: Athens, Corinth, Sparta as its political, economic, religious and cultural center. Each had its own form of government and economy, and each managed its own domestic and foreign affairs. The power of these city-states initially depended at least as much on their manufacturing and commercial skills as on their military might. Among the emerging city-states, Corinth, located on major land and sea trade routes, was one of the oldest and most powerful. By the 6th century BC, Athens rose to commercial and cultural preeminence. Soon it had also established a representative government in which every community had its own assembly and magistrates. All citizens participated in the assembly and all had an equal right to private property, to exercise freedom of speech, to vote and hold public office, and to serve in the army or navy. Citizenship, however, was open only to Athenian men. The census of 309 BC in Athens listed 21,000 citizens, 10,000 foreign residents, and 400,000 others, that is, women, children, and slaves. On the topic of women, let us talk about status of women in Greek culture. Women in Greece, in general, lived under severe constraints. They would remain indoors most of the time and would go out only for religious processions or festivals. They could vote like the slaves. In the houses, women occupied segregated quarters of the house, and marriages were monogamous. Marriages were generally arranged by parents within a circle of relatives so as to preserve property within the family. Once married, a woman became her husband's responsibility. She had no independent status and her life was devoted to childbearing and looking after the family and household. Women could own nothing apart from personal possessions and could not be party to any transaction worth more than a nominal amount. A man could divorce his wife by declaration before witnesses. A wife could divorce her husband only by taking him to court and proving serious offences. Ideas about female emancipation began to appear in literature from the end of the 5th century BC, and some of the most memorable characters in the Greek plays are females, although they were acted by young males. From the 4th century onward, and increasingly so in the Hellenistic period, 3rd to 1st century BC, education was accessible to certain women only. Sappho, the most famous women poet in antiquity, lived at the turn of 7th century BC and was much admired by Plato and other writers. Her poems, inspired by the Aphrodite, tell of her love for girls as well as boys and were accompanied by the music of the lyre. Today her work survives only in fragments, but is known to have 9 books of Odes, Elegies and Epithalamia, lyric odes to a bride and bridegroom. She composed in various meters. The Sapphic meter is believed to have been her invention. Let us talk about the contributions of Greeks. Firstly, they invented democracy. The very term itself is of Greek derivation, meaning people's rule. Never before, and sadly never since, has a people been ruled collectively by a majority votes of its citizens. The Greeks had a true democracy whenever any important decision of the state needed to be made, such as the decision of whether or not to go to war. The citizens would meet in a plenary public council, and most eloquent backers of a proposal would make their case before the assembly, and the most eloquent dissenters would offer rebuttal. The ancient Greeks invented tragedy, comedy, drama and theatre. Indeed, most of our theatrical terms derive directly from the Greek. For example, the word tragedy comes from Greek tragoladia, meaning God song, in reference to the fact that it arose from the mimic representations. In dancing and singing of satire, like Dionysian revelers dressed in god costumes. Comedy similarly comes from the Greek word komos. To reveal drama is itself a Greek word meaning action, and theatre comes from the Greek theatron, which in turn is believed to come from Greek word theome, meaning behold. A spectator of the 5th century BC dramatic performance or play would walk along the level ele, diazoma, and climb up to the steps climax to reach his state in a given section Kirkis of the horseshoe shaped theatre. They used to call it theatron, a semicircular ascending step bank of seats which look down upon the performance. The theatre of Dionysus in Athens seated some 17,000 persons. Before the spectators lay a level circular area called the orchestra, in the center of which stood an altar which often served as a stage prop in the place. The performances were often religious in character, and the throne of the presiding priest Dionysus was the best seat in the house. The policy of paying everyone's admission to theatre was not merely to keep the populace entertained, but was rather a measure intended to edify and to advance the intellectual training of citizens. Citizens who needed to be kept educated, for the welfare of the state depended upon their wisdom, as they were the true rulers of democracy. The ancient Greeks invented logic. The science of logic was first formulated by Aristotle. Aristotle devoted his attention almost exclusively to a priori or deductive logic, which derives the particular from the general. And this form of syllogistic reasoning served as the primary tool of thought, which enabled the development of Euclidean geometry, which in turn continues to serve as the foundation of mathematics in general. The ancient Greeks invented lyrics. The lyric was originally a song to be sung to the accompaniment of lyre, an ancient 3-stringed to 12-stringed, usually even stringed instrument having 2 horns and a sounding board made of a tortoise shell covered with bull's hide. The ancient Greeks invented the field of study we call history. The word itself means investigation in Greek. Of course, since the end of prehistoric times, man had been recording chronicles, legends and myths. But there is a difference between storytelling and unbiased, unjudgmental, strictly factual history. The man who is called the father of the history was a Greek, and his name was Herodotus. The hallmarks of Herodotus' style were those of ideal historian, the complete omission of personal bias, the unflagging allegiance to truth rather than dogma, and complete suspension of judgment. His writing is without mannerism, without an iota of self-consciousness. The Greeks of the 6th century BC originated the secular, rationalistic, empirical approach to medicine, which still today dominates mainstream medical practice. The highest ethical standards were demanded from the physicians of that time, who were required to take the celebrated Hippocratic oath, an oath still taken by physicians today. By the 3rd century BC, Alexandria, the seat of famous library and the world's first university called the Museum, was firmly established as the center of Greek medical science. It was the Alexandria that the anatomist Herophilus performed the first recorded public dissection of human body, and the physiologist Erastus established for all time the important nutritional function of the blood. Among the followers of these pioneers in the field of medicine were the medical empiricists, who, rejecting theory entirely, based their doctrine on experience gained by trial and error. The empiricists excelled in surgery and pharmacology, and a royal student of empiricism, Mithridates, king of Pontus, developed the concept of inducing immunity to poisons by administration of gradually increasing doses of it. That is Mithridatism. Modern medical practice is in effect a direct descendant of Alexandrian Greek medicine, which was adopted by Romans after they had conquered and assimilated Egypt. The chief medical writers of the Greco-Roman period which followed includes Celsus, who wrote an encyclopedia of medicine in the 2nd century AD. Dioscorus, the first scientific medical botanist, and Galen of Pergamon, who is regarded as the second most important physician of antiquity after Hippocrates himself. Galen was held as the undisputed medical authority throughout the whole of the Middle Ages. The ancient Greeks developed literature, oratory, and rhetoric into perfected art forms. The literary legacy of Greece is one of the most remarkable in Western civilization. The Iliad, attributed to Homer, is the account of the Trojan War and its heroes. Odysseus' 10-year journey home to Ithaca after the war. These epic poems were originally recited and then were written down sometime between the 8th and 6th centuries BC. They are noteworthy for their literary style and their new emphasis on power and psychology of human heroes. The same is true of the tragedies of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, and comedies of Aristophanes, which laid the foundation of Western theatre. Aeschylus' trilogy, the Oresteia, written during the 5th century BC, dramatized the tragedy of Agamemnon's family after his return to Mycenae from the Trojan War, and it was Sophocles who gave the world the Oedipus plays, from which Freud recognized that poets had understood human psychology long before the development of psychoanalysis. The events and characters of Greek literature were often illustrated by artists whose interest in psychology paralleled that of the writers and philosophers. The ancient Greeks invented philosophy, not only a whole slew of specific philosophies, but the whole field. The very word philosophy comes from Greek, and the concept is quintessentially, it means literally love of wisdom. Ancient Greek philosophy focused on the role of reason and inquiry. It had an important influence on modern philosophy as well as modern science. The influence from ancient Greek and Hellenistic philosophers was expanded to medieval Muslim philosophers and scientists, to the European Renaissance and Enlightenment, to the modern natural sciences and terminology. Socrates was the classical Greek philosopher, considered one of the founders of Western philosophy. He strongly influenced Plato and Aristotle. He made his most important contribution to Western thought through his method of inquiry. He is principally renowned for his contribution to the field of ethics. Socrates also lends his name to the concept of Socratic irony and the Socratic method. Socrates also made important and lasting contributions to the field of epistemology and logic, and the influence of his ideas and approach remains strong in providing a foundation for much Western philosophy which followed. Plato has the reputation of one of the most influential philosophers in the Western thought. He wrote several dozen philosophical dialogues, arguments in the form of conversations, and a few letters. Though the early dialogues deal mainly with methods of acquiring knowledge, and the most last ones with justice and practical ethics, his most famous works expressed a synoptic view of ethics, metaphysics, reason, knowledge, and human life. One can view Plato with qualification as an idealist and a rationalist. Aristotle placed much more value on knowledge gained from the senses and would correspondingly better earn the modern level of empiricist. Thus, Aristotle set the stage of what would eventually develop into the scientific method centuries later. The works of Aristotle that still exist today appear in treatise form. The most important include physics, metaphysics, Nicomachean, ethics, politics, the anima, on the soul, poetics, and many others. Aristotle was a great thinker and philosopher, and his philosophy was crucial in governing intellectual thought in the Western world. His views and approaches dominated early Western science for almost 2000 years. As well as philosophy, Aristotle was a formidable inventor and is credited with many significant inventions and observations. The ancient Greeks revolutionized architecture, sculpture, and painting. By the year 500 BC, Athens had experienced an artistic and intellectual development. The surviving works of art from ancient Greece emphasize the individual above all. In contrast to the continuity of Egyptian art, Greek art evolved rapidly from stylization to naturalism. The treatment of nature and humanity's place in it, ideal as well as actual, differentiated the Greek canons of proportion from those used by Egyptians. In Greek art, measurements were in relation to human scale and organic form. The Greek attitude towards artists indicate a new interest in the relationship of creators to their work. As far as one can tell, the Greeks were the first Westerners who regularly signed their works. For the first time in the history of West, artists became famous and their achievements were recorded by prominent authors. The Greeks thus gave their artists a new status consistent with their cultural view that man rather than gods is the measure of all things. The Greeks used many different types of materials in their sculptures, including stone, marble, and limestone, as these were abundant in Greece. Other materials such as clay were also used, but due to their brittle nature, very few have survived.